This is episode 106 of the EdTech Takeout from Grantwood AEA. My name is Jonathan Wiley, and I'm here with my co-host, Mindy Carney.
Hello, good morning. Oh, well, I don't not good morning.
No?
Good day. Good day.
Good day. Right.
Yeah.
Why not a good morning?
Well, because maybe someone's not listening to this in the morning.
Okay. Well, sometimes I think we record like nobody else is listening, so it could be good morning, right?
It could be, that's right.
Yeah, just good morning to me.
Good day.
And good day to you too.
Mm-hmm, thank you.
So here we are, episode 106. We're going to jump straight into use and follow up.
Okay.
And some interesting things here, I think.
Yeah.
It's a real mixed bag, but Google Docs has a couple of new things that have been released recently, or at least since the last time we podcasted.
Yep.
And they're kind of hidden, so if you haven't seen them, then nobody will blame you. But there's table templates. Have you seen those?
I have. Well, I've seen the Dropdown. I haven't seen what it does yet, I guess.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we could do it live here in our show notes doc if you want, I guess.
Sure.
But you go up to Insert and then Table, and then there's something called Table Templates right above where you would normally draw your table outline. But they got things like a product roadmap, a review tracker, project assets, and a launch content tracker. I mean, these all sound kind of businessy, but I guess you can change the headings to be, whatever you want. So I'm putting a project tracker one here. And the interesting thing about that one is it lets you choose a file to add.
Okay.
Like a recent file, and then you can have a description. And then the last column is the status column, which also includes another new update, which is those Dropdowns.
I know.
Which are nice, I think. Yeah, you can have a little project management thing where you could say, not started, in progress, under review, or approved. And you can go in and you can edit any of those options in there so that the Dropdowns can be whatever you want. So I've seen teachers think about using those as like rubric tags.
Sure.
So you could go through and, just say beginning or approaching
that makes sense.
or exceeds.
Yeah.
But there's a really nice example from our friend of the show, Eric Curts.
Right.
He did a closed procedure example with Dropdowns.
Really?
So we talked about that with Tony Vincent in the iTech session about blanking things out, but I'll link to his blog post. But basically he went through and he replaced a word with a Dropdown, and he put vocabulary bank of 8 words on there, and you have to choose the one you think best fits the sentence.
Interesting.
So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I can see there's going to be all kinds of interesting creative ways to use those that Google hasn't thought about yet.
Yeah, I hadn't. So I inserted just a drop down with you and I's name and that list of news and follow up stuff.
Oh,
so
I
you
see.
could just assign tasks right in there, right next to it. Except it doesn't. It's just in that one spot, so the table makes more sense. But I don't know. It's an interesting thing to kind of play with.
Yeah, you can go to Insert and then is it Building Blocks and then.
I just did Insert and then Drop Down. It's above where Building Blocks is at.
It is Insert and Drop Down, but you can also do the @ Drop Down.
Oh, sure.
And get
is
one
that like dropdown.new?
Sure. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Oh, so cool.
Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Also, what else have we got here? Oh, Google Docs. That you can draft an email inside of Google Docs. Have you seen that one?
I've done that before.
Have you?
Yeah.
You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, sure. So the nice thing, when I first saw this drafting an email in Google Docs, I'm like, well, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why in the world? Why would you use this, right? But we, one of the teams that I'm on, we had to draft an email. And so instead of one person drafting that email, we started that email within Google Docs, and then we could all tweak and add and see what was actually read, as opposed to, because in an email, otherwise it's just like a one person job. But this was an email that was maybe a little bit more important and needed all of our eyes on it. And then I'm like, okay, so then you just copy and paste it? Nope. Then you can actually send it straight from Google Docs. So
there's a little button, like a Gmail icon or something that you click on.
Yeah, and it takes it straight into an email for you, and off it goes.
Yeah, I think if maybe you were part of the 4th grade team of teachers or something, and you wanted to send an email home about something all the fourth graders were going to be doing, you could all collaborate and make sure that it was on the same page, and then send it.
Well, and I know that my sixth grader, I think at the beginning of his school year, they had to draft an email to maybe the principal or something like that. And I kind of thought, oh, that would have been a spot for that to work too. So as a teacher, if I wanted to kind of provide some feedback before that email was sent off, as opposed to just seeing the finished product of it, might have been a way for them to, just instead of just sending it off and being like, oh, but you missed this and you should have done this. And I mean, by then it's too late, right? So, yeah. So, I thought it was kind of interesting one of those things I didn't really think had a lot of purpose. And in certain instances, I think it's great.
So that is under Insert, Building Blocks, Email Draft. But you could also do
I feel like
email
that
draft.
Building Blocks is new, though, right? I don't think it used to be there. I think you could just email draft from the insert button, couldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of new menu functions up there that are different. They've all got little icons next to them that they didn't all used to have. And did you notice that the add-ons menu is now called extensions?
No, I did not.
So, add-ons are now extensions. And you click on extensions to see your add-ons.
Click on extensions now to see your add-ons.
So this is a very Google thing.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right, okay.
I put a link into something I thought was interesting. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Google I.O. was recently. And they had some preview of upcoming technologies that they had coming out. One of them was the resurrected Google Glass. Do you remember Google Glass?
Yes. Are you serious?
Yes.
It was before its time. Google Glass was just before its time.
I think it was. Yeah, probably. But they relaunched it this time, and the way they're pitching it is using some existing technology that they have, with that live translation features that you can get inside of Google Meet.
Sure.
So now what you do, you put on the glasses, somebody talks to you in a foreign language, and you see subtitles in your home language appear on the lens in front of you, so that you automatically get live translations of somebody speaking to you in a language you don't understand.
Yeah. It'd be great for traveling. As long as they're cute. Were they cute? Yeah. Have you seen a picture of them? Are they cute?
They look like regular glasses, I guess. So they're not out yet, but I just thought that was a really interesting use of augmented reality.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
So,
oh no. What's next?
Let's switch from augmented reality to virtual reality.
Okay.
Because you can now create VR tours inside ExpeditionsPro.
Yeah.
It used to be very much just a teacher-led tour thing, but now they are opening it up and doing something similar to, I'm going to never forget what this was called, but the Google
Tour Creator.
Tour Creator. I almost called it Tour Builder.
I think it's Tour Creator.
I don't know.
Right?
It's nothing now.
It's not. It doesn't exist. So we can call it whatever we want.
Whatever that Graveyard. Google thing was. Yeah.
Tour Graveyard.
They are letting you do something similar to that with putting together 360 images and having tours that you created yourself. Because we did have a teacher recently that was trying this out and said, I didn't really find any relevant tours for me.
Yeah.
It was an art teacher, I think.
Yeah.
So this would be a way that you could maybe find some more relevant tours because you make your own.
Yeah. So does Google Arts and Culture still have that toury stuff in it? Do you remember when it used to? It does still have that in it.
Expeditions did go there.
Yeah.
But I don't think all of them necessarily went there. It just maybe the ones that fit best with arts and culture.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Next on the list, because we got quite the list here.
Yeah, keep going.
This is one I saw recently. Wakelet and Mote are joining forces. Did you see that one?
No, I did not see this.
So I saw a tweet from Wakelet that said, we're so excited to share that you can now embed your Mote voice notes into Wakelet collections. You can share your voice inside Wakelet collections to save time, boost engagement, and connect with your community. So I didn't know how you felt about that.
Back up the bus for a hot minute. So, but it's different than the Flipgrid integration. Because Mote would just be about the things that are added into the collection, whereas Flipgrid is part of the collection. You know what I mean? Like you can create in Flipgrid to make it part of the collection, but Mote would just be like adding a voice note about something in the collection.
So you record your voice note. I'm looking at the little image they have here.
Yeah.
Which you can do with the extension.
Right.
And then you just paste a link in, like you would paste a link to a website or something
but not into the Wakelet.
Yes, into the Wakelet.
And it just shows up there.
And it comes up with a big play button on it that you click play, and you can hear the voice note. So.
That will be interesting. So anyone can add a voice note to the Wakelet?
With Mote?
With Mote?
I guess.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you could do like student responses of some sort. That's a lot of student responses. I will be interested to see this in action.
I don't think they're intending it to be like a Flipgrid where, you respond with Mote, but I mean, it could be. I think it's just if you want to have a variety of media with video and audio and images and websites and things like that.
Sounds great.
All right. Good.
Okay. All right.
Mindy gives it thumbs up.
Well, I give it a side thumb. Let's see how this pans out.
TBD, right?
Yeah.
Okay, second last thing we have here on our news and updates is just breaking news yesterday.
Breaking news, yeah.
Desmos is joining forces with Amplify.
Okay.
Are you familiar
what this means. No.
with Amplify?
I started looking at this stuff and I'm like, I don't know that I know what Amplify is. So what? Yeah, tell me more.
I'm not
know more?
super familiar with Amplify. They're kind of like an online curriculum type platform.
Okay.
And they're just adding some tools to their stable of resources, I guess, now. But I guess the important thing here is it says, for our community of teachers, learners, mathematicians, and creators, we're continuing to support all our existing products, and everything that is free will remain free now and always.
But we won't add anything free from here on out. Was
that on there?
Is that what that means? So I do know, I mean, what I'm assuming, I knew that Desmos was working on curriculum. And I know that I think their middle school math curriculum was in beta. So I kind of wonder, and I didn't really pay much attention to like what company it was or what. So I'm wondering if that's this. But yeah, when I saw in bold, everything that is free will remain free now and always. I just thought, what does that mean going forward, though? So
yeah, the math curriculum part is going to be rolled into Amplify's
right, and that was a paid service, and it was. I mean, and that's fine. I get that, but and I did see that the. What do they call it? Do they call it library or activity builder?
Activity builder
is still like its own. It's like a separate entity of sorts. I mean, you're still going to have that for free.
Yeah.
So
there you go. I don't know if we're going to see any. It doesn't sound like it's going to cause too many ripples, but that's always a good thing.
Yes, right.
And last but not least is Mindy.
Oh yeah, I added something that I just happened to see yesterday, which I am completely honest. I have not been keeping up on the Seesaw stuff much recently. But I saw that now there is a library button that's been added to kind of the home screen of Seesaw. So it used to be that you had to go in to get into the library. And it took like 2, maybe 3 clicks to actually get into the library, which is dumb.
Okay.
So now they've added a library button to the home screen in Seesaw so you can access it quickly. So if you didn't know that was there, you're probably done. Fingers crossed, you're almost done. For all of you teachers out there, hopefully you're, coming to the end of adding activities to Seesaw. But for next year, I was like, oh, that's a long time coming.
Do you want to talk about the email you got from Seesaw?
No.
You don't? Okay.
No, this is kind of a funny story because so within the team, we've always joked about I wanted to be a Seesaw ambassador before Seesaw ambassadors even existed. Was that right?
We talked about this on the podcast way back when.
My first year, the team 3D printed me a Seesaw ambassador, plastic chunk or whatever.
The team? Yeah. That was me.
That was you. Okay, I'm sorry. Not the team. Okay. You. Thank you for that. So anyway, I get this email yesterday from Seesaw that was like, you're one of Iowa's first Seesaw certified educators. We'd love for you to head up a meetup. And I was like, what? No. So I sent it off to the team thinking that was kind of funny because we'd always made a joke about Seesaw and what a big advocate I've always been for it. And so that was kind of a funny email that I got because it's like, oh yeah, look at me.
Top of your field, right?
Top of my field is right. All right, so up next, served to you piping hot. Our main course today is wrapping it up.
Wrapping up because you just said it. It's getting towards the end of the school year, and people are hopefully not creating too many brand new activities in Seesaw and stuff like that.
Maybe you are. God bless you if you are.
But they're starting to think about, winding things up.
Yeah,
so
sure.
In the world of ed tech, there's definitely some things you can do to help wind things up properly. So we thought we'd go over some of those.
Yep.
We're not going to be able to cover everything.
I don't think so.
But we'll probably cover some of the main platforms that our teachers are using.
Yeah. So we're going to start with Google Classroom?
Yeah, start with Google Classroom.
Yeah.
Eric Curts has got a really good blog post out there. He should have his own podcast, I think. And
I think
just
he
talk
does,
about his blog
doesn't
posts. I think he does. Yes.
Instead of us.
Yeah, instead of us just rehashing all his work.
We'll just read his blog post to you aloud.
So get comfortable. Google Classroom, end of the year things that you can do with Google Classroom. A quick summary, but we will link to his blog post. Return all student work.
Yep.
Okay, I feel like most people are probably in the habit of returning all student work.
I would think so too, yeah.
You know, if you're going back and forward on like drafts of things and things like that, then let's get those sent back to students.
Yep.
Unenroll students from old classes.
Yeah.
He said this is optional, but it stops students from accessing any materials you don't want them to share with another class, which I thought was clever.
Yeah, right.
Because you might just, archive a class or whatever, but students will still be able to access all the assignments, all the study guides, all the quiz answers and everything. So archive the class.
Yeah.
Not deleting it.
Right.
So you can still go back and, duplicate posts and assignments to your new class.
Yep.
So just to know the difference between archiving and deleting.
This next one's a good one.
You think so?
Yes.
I think it is too. Because every time I demo Google Classroom and I'm like, where did this come from?
Where are all these calendars?
So hide or delete old Google calendars that you do not need. Yes, because they just show up on the side of your My Calendars thing in Google Calendar, and suddenly you've got all kinds of stuff on there that you don't probably need.
Right.
Archive the classroom folder inside a Google Drive. So maybe create a folder inside of the classroom folder, call it Archive.
No, that's a good idea.
And then drag your old classrooms in there because that fills up quickly, especially if you're a middle high school teacher with lots of sections of classes, year after year, your classroom folder gets huge. And maybe you don't go to your classroom folder very much. I know not everybody does, really. You don't need to, but if you wanted to go back, maybe, I know there's teachers that go in there for like conferences and stuff, and they'll pull up examples of student work and things. But maybe just tidy up that classroom folder a little bit too.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, he said, remove shared assignments from Shared With Me.
No.
No?
Don't go into your Shared With Me. People, don't go in there.
Yeah?
Don't go in there.
Okay.
It's like a wasteland of sorrow and regret. Don't go in there. You will get lost and never come out.
A wasteland of sorrow and regret?
Don't go in there. I'm serious. Just let your Shared With Me become what it is, because if you get in there, you start looking at stuff and you're like, I don't even know what this thing is. What is? And then you start cleaning it up, and it's a waste of your time. If you're going to take that time, clean out your actual drive, leave Shared With Me for the hyenas. It's going to be fine.
I don't think that's bad advice at all, really. Whenever I talk to people about organizing Google Drive, they always say, well, what about Shared With Me? And you say, well, what about it? Who cares?
Leave it alone.
I mean, it's really just a filter for some of the files that you have in your drive. And nothing more, nothing less. You can't organize it.
No.
So maybe, why bother, right?
Yeah. But Eric, thank you for your thoughts.
Okay.
On that one.
Any other tips on Google Classroom you'd have for winding that up?
I don't think so. I think that hits it. The only other thing I'm wondering, though, is because you can copy classes. If there's something to think about at the end of your school year as far as if you're going to duplicate that class. Is there anything to think about with that? I don't know.
Because when you copy the class, it doesn't copy over the students.
It doesn't copy student work. It just copies assignments and stuff. So I don't know if there's anything to think about doing now as opposed to when you're starting the school year and you're like, oh, now I have to go back and look at some of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, just be careful not to delete stuff.
Yeah,
I think,
don't
just
delete
in
it,
case
right.
you need it later.
Yeah, right.
All right, so we move on to Seesaw.
Sure. Seesaw. Once again, you're
Have you heard of Seesaw?
Yeah, I have heard of Seesaw. One thing I would say, once again, is that you should certainly not delete any of your classes. And Seesaw, I feel like they stomp this into the ground. Like, do not delete your classes. You want to archive them as well. But I think a lot of schools now are using Seesaw for Schools, in which case your admin can go in and archive old classes for you. Oh, okay. So I guess there's two ways to think about this, is that if you're an admin, a Seesaw admin for Seesaw for Schools, you probably want to let people, give them a deadline, hey, I'm going to archive any old classes by, June 5th or June 15th or whatever. So that's something to think about. As a teacher, I would, archive it when you're ready. It's kind of at your own disposal. What I would say is that Tate, who's a sixth grader, is still, I know, enrolled in his fourth grade class at his elementary school. I still get posts, all school messages for him.
Right.
And for Annie. So I know that there's still classes out there that are living and breathing, which means he could get back into that. If he wanted to. So just make sure that you're archiving those old classes, kind of the same thing, just keep kids out of them. You don't want them to be able to go back and access into those things, especially if you're not keeping track of what's going on in there.
So the admin can archive in bulk?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So you can go in and archive all of your old classes.
Just from a certain year or something?
It's in the overview tab, and then you can just choose archive old classes.
Okay.
Yep. And then there's a date selector. So you would, any classes created before this date would be archived. If you're still talking about admin, you want to make sure that you remove any teachers that are leaving. I would certainly wait maybe until the beginning of the school year to do something like that, to give people some time to do what they want to do in there. Mm-hmm. I would also, one of the things I would suggest is emailing teacher or parents and letting them know that they can download their student's portfolio. I often think about this with my kids, is when, they're seniors in high school, what am I going to have to show? Because we don't send as much stuff home. Yeah. So there might be pictures and stuff that, parents might want to hold on to for their senior party someday or something. Who knows what senior parties will look like by the time we get there? I don't even know.
Yeah, they'll be in the metaverse or something.
Yeah, they will be in the metaverse, right? We'll have a virtual reality party or something like that.
Yeah.
So those would be a couple things I would think about. Other than that, I guess I don't know that there's anything else within there that, Seesaw, you don't necessarily copy classes or anything like that. Everything is in your activity library already, so you just assign it as you need be, for the start of the school year. But
what does that parent archive look like? Is it PDF? Is it
is
is it just a zip file full of pictures and images and all stuff?
So unless this has changed, in the last year, I always downloaded my kids' Seesaw activity library or activities, and they are in a folder in my Google Drive. And the only thing that, of course, you don't get then would be any video or audio files. So it's just pictures and text, and each one is its own page. So it becomes this really massive journal.
Yeah.
So, but videos and audio, that is what it is. It's not that stuff is going to be stuff that you're able to probably hold on to much. Maybe that's changed too. Maybe it's still attached to QR codes or something. I don't know. So lots of pictures in PDF form. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
What else we got on here? We got Pear Deck on here too.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I wasn't sure about what kind of things you could do with Pear Deck, but I did a little bit of research on that one. And Pear Deck are recommending two things that you do. One is to archive sessions from this year. To help keep your sessions page organized and manageable, because I know I've done Seesaw things, Pear Deck things before.
Both, yes.
I mean, yes, for sure. I know I've done Pear Deck things before, and I've just never ended the session.
Right.
And it's like still live, and I go back in there, and I'm like, oh, people could still so maybe make sure all your sessions are ended would be step one, but then archive the ones that you maybe don't need anymore, because it'll make it easier just in the fall when you come back, just to like find and get to the things you want. They also recommended exporting student answers from Pear Deck sessions into Google Sheets if you need to share them with students or parents or admins at the end of the year. So they have instructions for how to do that too. I guess I've never done that before.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I mean, I've exported student answers before, but I had never thought about like sending them back to students if they needed them.
So that would be Pear Deck.
Yeah. This is good. Yeah.
So we're kind of moving on to a slightly different part of wrapping things up, but maybe cleaning out teacher platforms and things, because I know I will be visiting with some teachers next week about Google Takeout.
Oh, boy. Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because some teachers will be leaving the profession. Some will be moving to different schools, and they maybe want to take some of that all those things that they created and made with them.
Yeah.
So.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Well, what's the old boy for here?
Well, so this is maybe not the time for this conversation, but I would say before you do any Google taking outing, that you might want to also find out from your school district what is considered still your intellectual property and what is the property that belongs to them. So, and maybe school districts aren't having this conversation. I do think, like in our work, there is intellectual property that is involved a lot with what we do. I don't know if school districts are having that conversation or not, but it might be worth the question.
If you're creating something on district time, on a district device, is it owned by the district or is it owned by you because you created that? I don't know. Or is it 50-50? Or, I mean, maybe you're on good terms with your admin and they just say, sure, you can take whatever you want. And
but leave it here too, they might say.
Yeah, but on the other side of that coin, though, if you're exporting stuff like student data in there, that you've got test results or all your Google Classroom scores and all that stuff, if you export your Google Drive to another Google account or something, it all goes. You can't really do it selectively, I don't think, in Google Takeout. So.
Well, you can go in and clean out your drive before you do Google Takeout, though, right?
That would be a good thing to do. Yeah, because, I mean, I don't know, do you really have any right to access that student data after you've left the school?
No.
So...
My answer is no. I don't know if that's the right answer, but I say no.
Yeah. So with FERPA and everything, you want to make sure you're on the right side of that and you're not caught with stuff that you don't want. But I know it's a very common thing to do Google Takeout at the end of the year, so I guess it's good we just bring up these things so that you talk to the right people.
And I think I actually just had somebody say, not in a school district, but works for a university, and she said that right now Google Takeout is disabled for them. Oh, yeah? So, and I didn't really even know this was a disabled thing or not disabled. So if you don't have Google Takeout, you can also do Google Takeout transfer. So you can transfer your stuff to a different school domain.
Yes, you can.
Or you can do Takeout where you just download it. So if you're not seeing that or it's not a possibility for you, you might have to ask somebody to turn it on, which I didn't know was a thing.
I guess it makes sense that admin can turn that off if they want to.
Yeah.
But something else you could turn on would be your out-of-office or vacation responder in Gmail.
Yay! That's my favorite thing to do.
I don't know who's really going to be emailing you over the summer, but if you just want to let people know that you are going to be unavailable in the summer
indefinitely,
months.
yes, you're right.
Maybe not indefinitely.
No, not indefinitely.
Yes, Mindy is famous for putting her vacation responder on and saying, contact Jonathan Wiley if you need any assistance.
Yeah. You have been my emergency contact for years. It's my favorite thing to do.
I do forget that a lot. And then I'll email her sometimes. I'll come back. I'll say, contact Jonathan Wiley. I am Jonathan Wiley. So.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, that's her little inside joke. She has been enjoying for several years now.
Inside joke with myself, yes.
And you know what? I could probably count on one hand, or maybe the number of times people have actually contacted me after your vacation responder. People just look at it and go, oh, okay, I'll talk to you when you get back.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so other things to think about, maybe, end of the year. Google organization.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about organizing your Google Drive a little bit.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting thing to think about if you've got students that, especially to me, like in elementary or middle school, and you're using your Google Drive as, a place to really store your work, that it's a really great idea that at the end of the school year, you provide some support for those students to get everything kind of reorganized so that they don't have this drive that's completely out of control by the time they're seniors in high school,
Yeah.
I think it's a really good time just to make sure everything's neat and tidy for them so that they first understand how important it is to kind of have some organizational system involved, but also just so they can start fresh in the school year too.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to create a new folder like they're going into 5th grade and create a folder called 4th grade, throw all the 4th grade work in that 4th grade folder, and then just start again with a new one called 5th grade. And go through the year that way. But
for sure.
Good ideas.
Yeah.
Something else, I think Mindy put this on here. So came from Matt Miller.
Yeah. So I got this in my inbox kind of when you and I first started talking about doing this podcast, and it's 10 end of the year templates to help students thrive. So it's just different templates that you could use in Google Slides that are very reflective. Some of them are about planning your summer. I always felt like the end of the year is tough. Like my son has 3 tests on Friday, which I'm assuming are kind of like his finals. Wow. And I'm like, so he's got a whole week of school to, and I know what it's like. And then you're like, okay, what am I going to do with these kids? So maybe it's a really good time to kind of sit back and reflect a little bit about your school year. Have kids think a little bit about, what were some successes? One of these I really like is my learning awards. What would I give myself an award for first place? What's second place for me? Like, what did I do really well, but I'm not quite there yet? What's my third place medal for? Yeah. Just a different way to think about it. So, and also a great time to have kids think about, like, what was the best way that I learned this year? Or what really worked for me? To kind of put some of those tools in their toolbox for next year as well. So I don't know. I just thought there were some other things that you wouldn't have to create yourself, which I think at this time of the year, everybody's done, like we said. So just some ideas there that might be, a way for you to kind of wrap up your school year with your students. Yeah,
I think that's interesting. I mean, it is like you said, it's that last week of school is kind of a weird time for doing things.
Yeah.
My kids have got like a week left, and my daughter's had to turn in her Chromebook.
Yeah.
And so she's got no Chromebook for the last week. And I'm like, okay, what are you going to do for the last week? Yeah, they're going to do something, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Another similar resource, I think, from Richard Byrne this time. 3 tools for quickly and easily creating end-of-year slideshow videos.
Nice.
So if you want to this could be something you could do in the last week of school. You've taken pictures throughout the year, and you've got examples of student work, and you want to do some kind of photo slideshow type of thing that shows a memory of what you learned this year. He's suggesting 3 tools. So we've got the Adobe Creative Cloud Express, which is the world's longest title of anything, I think.
Sure it is.
Then there's Canva. And then Microsoft Photos, which is built into Windows 10 and Windows 11 devices. So just a nice, easy way to create things. And he's got a video for each of those 3 tools if you want to go and watch and share them with your students and show them how they can create end-of-year slideshows. And last but not least, this is the time of the year when graduation is underway for different things. So I saw some discussion recently on teachers about this on Twitter, and people were talking about, how it's always this kind of cliche where people who don't really interact with these students very often are calling them up on stage and they butcher their names by not pronouncing them correctly. So how can you get around things like that? So I saw one school that was setting out a Flipgrid to all their students and getting them to record their name. And that's all they had to do on their reply and their response, so that, somebody who was reading out their names later could go back and play those and go, okay, so that's how you pronounce that one. Okay, that one makes sense. And some are going to be very obvious, but some are going to be less obvious. And there's another school I saw that's using a bit of a tight nugget, this one, I guess. It's called Name Coach.
Okay.
And basically it's an artificial intelligence tool that will be able to pronounce anybody's name correctly the right way. So
I'm going to try that on my last name.
Yeah, that would be interesting, right? So there you go. The different services and tools that out there that you could do just to honor your students and for their last time that they're going to have some kind of relationship or impact with the school. If you're standing up there and not even saying their name right, then it's not a good look, really, is it?
It's not a good look. Gina Rogers was talking about one of our school districts is doing something like this, but they're doing it at the beginning of the school year so that, and kind of like a flip chart, so to help teachers recognize students' faces, but also saying their name correctly too.
Get to know your students. And say their names properly instead of saying their name wrong the whole year.
Or having to, for sure.
My problem was always just saying the wrong name to students. I always got my students mixed up, and I'm even doing the same now. I'm coaching Little League Soccer, and I call
whatever your name is.
You, Colton, Connor. Start with a C. You.
That's funny. All right, so up next, my favorite part of the show is Tech Nuggets.
Mindy's favorite part of the show.
My favorite part of the show.
All right.
Okay.
So, who's first?
I'll go first. Okay. So I tried to think of things. I know at the end of the school year, I often tried to send out resources to parents of things that students could do. And so I was trying to find something that I was like, something that maybe no one had heard of before.
Okay.
And I happened to find this YouTube, I don't know. It's like a curation of videos, but I think they're also creating them. It's called Crash Course. And, my kids spend a ton of time on YouTube, more than I'd like to admit, probably. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of different playlists around different topics. One of them is zoology. One of them is Black American history. One of them is outbreak science. Lots of different just videos that your kids could watch. Yeah. World mythology. That might provide some learning over the summer as opposed to the brainless scrolling that I know my children are doing. So thought it was a spot that you could send kids to watch some of these videos. So
I like it. Some educational YouTube videos.
Yeah. Although I will say, as with anything, always good to preview videos before you send kids anywhere. Make sure that you're on board. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. First one I'm going to do is a really unusual tool. I had never even imagined you could do something like this before, but it makes sense, in this world of artificial intelligence that we are wading knee-deep into.
Okay.
The tool is called Textile Map, which is a beta tool right now. But kind of interestingly, what it does is you paste or you type some text into a text field.
Okay.
And then you hit generate, and what it will do is it will scan through the text for places of interest, and it will mark them on a map next to your text. So, if you were looking at maybe a country or a city or something, and it's talking about different places where they filmed movies or books or stories and things, you can paste all that into one side, and on the other side, it gives you kind of an interactive kind of Google map with pins showing all the locations of all the places.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
So, I don't know, if you're talking about, maybe all the places you went to when you traveled somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you could see, we went here and we saw this and this place and then that place.
Yeah.
And it puts all these pins on a map for you. So
even just like those traditional like state projects that I feel like most kids have to do in elementary school or something, that it could be like you could create your own tour.
The capital is this,
right.
and all the rest, and it would show alongside it. So,
all right,
interesting. I did email the creator at one point. I said, "This all looks really fun and cool, but it'd be great if you could like share your created map." And he said, "Yes, it's on the roadmap. It's coming. We're going to do it." So,
nice.
Textilmap.com.
Just slipping into the DMs, huh?
Yes, that's the way I operate. Yeah.
Okay, my last one is called Activity Hero. And I really, to be honest, don't know how I came across this, but it is a place that you can go. You put in your city, and you do have to create an account, I'm afraid, but it's free. So you put in your city, and then it lists all of the, not all, but quite a few activities that your students your kids could enroll in over the summer. So there might be like sports camps. There might be crafting things. Like there was some stuff in there to like go and like paint rocks or something like that. So if you're looking for activities to get your kids outside or moving, you can, use this website to kind of find maybe some ideas of things to do. There are also the options of like an on-demand, which I believe is just like stuff, like videos and stuff that kids can watch and then go do the thing. There's also live online, and I didn't see any of those when I was looking just here in Cedar Rapids. But yeah, so it might be a place to go and look to see like if there's just something going on that you could, get your kid to a camp or something like that. So I know.
Yeah, I just searched for Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and found a bunch of places on here. So
and stuff I hadn't necessarily heard. I mean, some of this, and the other good thing is some of it was stuff I had heard of. So I was like, oh, good. It's pulling stuff that I know actually exists out there, but here are some other things that I didn't know about. So I thought it was reliable then.
Yeah, and they're pulling it from places like, there's a couple of events they've got going on at Michael's, there's one at JCPenney, things like that you wouldn't probably hear about unless you were in those stores a lot, I guess.
And Michael's really is a great, they do a ton of kids' workshops and stuff. Our grocery store at Hy-Vee used to, and actually I don't know, maybe they're not doing it anymore because of COVID, but they do a lot of cooking classes for kids and stuff like that. So if you look up some of those things, hopefully they're being pulled into this database too.
Another place I've been to with my kids is Home Depot.
Oh, yes.
They have these little kits that you can build with them, and they have them with mini hammers and things. Yeah,
I just heard on the radio that they were back to doing that. They must have stopped during COVID, but that they're back to doing those. And that was fantastic. Super fun little morning to go and spend with the kids for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my last tech nugget is from friend of the show, Katie Wardrobe.
Oh, yeah.
Who was on recently, our music expert.
Yeah.
So she tweeted out an extension called Pocket Tube.
Okay.
Which is actually developed in conjunction with YouTube. So it lets you customize your YouTube viewing experience a little bit. And the thing I like most about it, I guess, or the thing that this teacher that she saw was using it for, was the ability to group together your subscriptions in YouTube. So, when you start subscribing to channels on YouTube, it just lists them all in order from A to Z, all the way down the page. And you have to scroll sometimes to find exactly the right one you want. But this will let you group them by sport or technology or favorites. And you can choose whatever you want your groups to look like. So you could sort them by, algebra subscriptions or, geometry subscriptions, whatever the channels are that you follow. So,
wow, algebra and geometry, which you pulled out there, huh?
That's the ones I pulled out. Math seems to be my go-to for some reason. I
love it.
It's not gonna be...
that algebra YouTube video playlist channel.
Yeah, I need more of those because my daughter comes home with her algebra and I sit there staring at one question for 30 minutes thinking, what is this? I have no idea what's going on. I feel like just calling you guys or Jason Marshall used to be a math teacher, didn't he?
I think he showed a lot of videos.
Yeah, I think I might too. So ways to unsubscribe in bulk from channels as well, to set up notifications by group so you don't miss any videos. Just ways to customize the layout and the way things look on YouTube.
Nice.
Different filters and things you don't normally get. So Pocket Tube is a good one. I think worth checking out.
Thanks, Katie.
So our podcasting hiatus is on the horizon.
We
are almost ready for our annual summer break.
Yeah.
But we have one more episode scheduled before we break for the summer. And I'm going to say it's probably an important one that you want to listen to.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got some news we want to share with you.
Yep.
But on that cliffhanger, we will leave it for this episode and say until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.